Sing me the same.
Alright, how you doing? Welcome in. It's me, Joshua Adam. Hopefully you're having a good day. Whether you're a chatter or lurker or just stepping in, I'm glad to have you here. We're gonna see how many chapters we can cover today, and hopefully by the end of the weekend, we'll be ready to have the demo printed for the paperback. Then, when that gets set over, then we can go through that and find all the errors and mistakes and fuck-ups that has, and then we can send it back, and then we can have another demo printed, and we're just going to keep doing that until there's no more fucking errors. That's the mistake I didn't do last time, but instead of going to publish last time, I decided to add like 400,000 more words to the book, turning it into like a 700-page book. So the first time I had a demo printed up, it's not even the same story anymore. Which I'm happy with. I mean, it turned out great. A lot better than it was before. Fucking trash story before. It's still a trash story. But it's a better trash story. Alright, let's see if all the sounds are accurate. What the fuck? I'm sorry, the music is not fitting. It said dark fantasy, but that doesn't sound very dark. I guess we're just gonna go with the good old classic.
Chapter 17. Crown of Thorns. Vert D/Nizera/16th/Y997/6th age, Dawn Tide. S. Team from a nearby shit-filled bucket drifted toward the stone ceiling of the cramped, dimly lit cell, its bars choked with rust. Violin shifted restlessly in a bunk of blood-stained straw, sleep refusing him. The stench of excrement and the distant cries of other prisoners faded into the background of his thoughts. His body was mapped with half-healed wounds from his encounter with Aaron. An elderly man shuffled lazily down the long corridor, shackles clamped around his ankles. He pushed a warped wooden cart. Its top was cluttered with half-eaten plates, beneath it sat a sloshing tub of collected waste. He stopped at each cell, emptied the buckets into the tub, replaced them, and slid a plate of food through the bars. Violin rolled onto his side as the man approached. His hands and tunic were still stiff with dried blood. His eyes burned red. His lips were cracked from dehydration. None of it mattered. All he could think of was Jinx. The men who had followed him. The ones who had died. Why keep him alive? For torture? There was nothing left to return to even if he wanted to. Surely the rest had been executed by now. He didn't know if Myra lived. Didn't know if anyone who fled had survived. The old man reached through the bars and grabbed Violin's waste bucket. Carelessly, he dumped it toward the lower tub, half of it missing and splashing onto the stone floor, pooling around his own feet. "Damn these old hands," the man muttered bitterly. He fumbled the bucket back through the bars, dropping it sideways. Feces smeared across the cell floor. With shit streaked across his thumb, he lifted the last plate from the cart and, with surprising care, placed it in the only clean patch of stone he could find. His voice trembled like his hands. "Here's your slop, Lord Violin." Violin's reply came hollow. "I am no lord. Not while I lie atop the souls of my fallen men and rot in a cage." A faint amusement colored the old man's tone. "Not all your men have perished, sire. Though we never served under your command, you've earned loyalty for standing against your father. Something your brother has never done." He leaned closer to the bars. "Many of those men sit in these very cells. Others scatter the poverty-stricken streets across the continent. Even if you die here of infection from neglecting your wounds, you've already lit a fire. One that may yet become rebellion." Violin turned away on his cot. "I never sought rebellion. I followed my father's original orders. I came to love Mistwood. If I had crossed the sea, it would have been handed to some degenerate to bleed dry." The old man chuckled softly. "I doubt the historians will preserve that nuance." He began shuffling away, chains dragging across stone. "From the moment the Valmosian Empire set foot on this continent, I knew what would follow," he called back. "I simply never imagined the seed of its undoing would be born of its own blood." "From the moment the Valmosian Empire set foot on this continent." The old man chuckled softly. "I doubt the historians will preserve that nuance." He began shuffling away, his chains dragging behind him across stone. "From the moment the Valmosian Empire set foot..."
Let's see if this sounds right. Do it. Hey, Gemini, this sound right? You tell me. Gemini, so yeah, it works. It's perfect. And here's why. I'm gonna swing from your nuts right now. Like, do you like that? I wish AI didn't kiss your ass so much. I hate that you have to put in your prompts like, don't kiss my ass, please. All right, now let's hear it. Here's why it works. It's like, I didn't ask that. I didn't ask, here's why it works. I wanted to know if it was I wanted to know if it was right, motherfucker. They like literally gave me like 4 pages of like how it's gonna come over and take me out to dinner and fucking give me a reach around and fucking stroke me off or stroganoff. Hamburger helper. All right, let's just listen.
Violin turned away on his cot. I never sought rebellion. I followed my father's original orders. I came to love Mistwood. If I had crossed the sea, it would have been handed to some degenerate to bleed dry. The old man chuckled softly. I doubt the historians will preserve that nuance. He shuffled away, chains dragging loudly behind him as he tended the next cell. From the moment the Valmosian Empire set foot on this continent, I knew what would follow, he called back. I simply never imagined the seed of its undoing would be born of its own blood. The rattle of chains and the screech of unoiled wheels sang in grim harmony as he vanished around the corner. From the opposite end of the corridor came measured footsteps. Violin hated himself for recognizing them by sound alone. The steps stopped before his
Oh my god, I fucked it up. How did I go 17 chapters in before royally butt fucking something? Now I don't know what to put. I'm too high. And I was pissing blood this morning, so like I got that going on. I just don't feel good, and like now I'm destroying my own story. One, like right after he speaks, it mentions the chains and his fucking cart that he's pushing. So there's no reason for it to be talking about the fucking chains right now. But I just. What to put? Just trying to think. All right, I think I got it. Nope. Oh, I know. Hold on. Oh my God, that just I'm about to just delete this line completely and just make this one long fucking quote. How about that, motherfucker? That just sounds like shit.
He placed the last plate from his cart onto the floor of the next cell, then added, "From the moment the Valmosian
I don't want two P words that close. Two P words. Okay, I think I got it now. All right, this is hold on, just let me think for a second. I gotta dress this up a bit. Oh no. I fucked up, guys. I know no one's there, but I fucked up. I'm just gonna have to delete this line. There's no point for it. There's no reason. I have something funny I can put right here, but I just don't know how to execute it. I'll have to like spend hours writing out the same thing over and over again, 200 different ways, and pick the one I like the best. It's just so Just like the. Meow, 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 meow. I think this is better. Sorry, you can't see it, but I'll show you. Hold on. It's going to be really small. Yep. Don't know why. I have both versions of the book. No. Not the model. It's supposed to be display capture. See, on left is the paperback, and on the right is the ebook. So I have to edit them both at the same time, and sometimes I change it on one side, and then that's what's happening right now. Is I can't decide how it should be. Turn the display capture off. Put that there. There. Come on. I think I even changed something a few sentences down on accident. It sounds better though. Alright, let's see what this sounds like. Mr. AI Word Microsoft guy, read me the shit.
Violin turned away on his cot. I never sought rebellion. I followed my father's original orders. I came to love Mistwood. If I had crossed the sea, it would have been handed to some degenerate to bleed dry. The old man chuckled softly. I doubt the historians will preserve that nuance. His hands trembled violently. As he tried to secure the next plate, the slop atop it pitched itself onto the shit-stained floor. He stared at the bare plate, empty of any sustenance, and let it clatter into the waste tub beneath his cart. From the moment the Valmosian Empire set foot on this continent, he added, I knew what would follow. He called back. I simply never imagined the seed of its undoing would be born of its own blood. The rattle of chains and the screech.
Didn't need the sentence below it changed.
His hands trembled violently. As he tried to secure the next plate, the slop atop it pitched itself onto the shit-stained floor. He stared at the bare plate, empty of any sustenance, and let it clatter into the waste tub beneath his cart. From the moment the Valmosian Empire set foot on this continent, I knew what would follow, he called back. I simply never imagined the seed of its undoing would be born of its own blood.
That'll have to stay if I keep changing it. I mean, what has it been? We're at 37 minutes in, and I would say 27 of those minutes have been this one sentence.
Blood. The rattle of chains and the screech of unoiled wheels sang in grim harmony as he vanished around the corner. From the opposite end of the corridor came measured footsteps. Violin hated himself for recognizing them by sound alone. The steps stopped before his cell. Silence settled, thick and stagnant as the air.
Sorry, some of my windows aren't open all the way.
Air. What do you want, brother? Violin asked, voice rough. Aaron stood beyond the bars, wearing the slick, predatory smile only something born from Infernalis.
I don't really think it needs any description.
What do you want, brother? Violin asked. Aaron stood beyond the bars, wearing the slick, predatory smile only something born from Infernalis could mistake for warmth. Haven't you grown tired of wallowing in these shit-festering shackles? Violin kept his eyes on the
Just keep
opposite
going.
wall. If you won't kill me, I thought I'd let infection finish the task. Aaron glanced around the cell with theatrical distaste. You know, father and I would never allow that. The Kitsune clan possesses the finest healers across every known continent. Keeping you alive is a far more fitting punishment for a rebellious little brat. Violin scoffed. How convenient. You demonize demi-humes, beast folk, and non-ferals as heretics yet drool over their abilities and keep them leashed for emergencies. Aaron's grin didn't falter. Do not misunderstand, brother. They are tools. Nothing more. One day
I just don't like the word emergencies. Oh, thesaurus, help me. That sounds better. It sounds more elegant, like what a snarky asshat would say.
Violin scoffed. How convenient. You demonize demi-humes, beast folk, and non-ferals as heretics, yet drool over their abilities and keep them leashed for exigency. Aaron's grin didn't falter. Do not misunderstand, brother. They are tools. Nothing more. One day our alchemists, scholars, and mages will craft remedies and spells superior to their magic. When that day comes, their usefulness and their heresy will no longer be tolerated. Violin forced himself upright to face his brother. They are not toys to be discarded, he said through clenched teeth. Since the Empire set foot on this continent, they've saved Father's life more times than he deserves. He has no right to the loyalty they've shown him. Aaron's tone cooled. They are slaves, Violin. Prisoners just as you are. The only difference is that their chains are political rather than iron. He tilted his head slightly. They walk freely through the city, yes. But they are bound all the same. His gaze sharpened. And that clever trick you pulled? Sending the little runt away? Father couldn't see through it. I could. He leaned against the bars and crossed his arms. Exiling her to play monster hunter with a band of Enosian swine. He clicked his tongue and let out a quiet laugh. That isn't even a fate I would have wished upon her. Violin staggered to his feet, barely steady. They are far from swine. Kitsune is under Master Theo's protection. He would never align himself with the unworthy. Aaron laughed outright. It's a wandering circus of failures, monsters, and traitors. Grand General Theodore abandoned wealth and glory to play hero alongside the broken knights of a dead kingdom. His voice darkened. Father's greatest mistake was granting amnesty to those who bent the knee after the siege of Enos. The only reason they still breathe is because they remain useful. His eyes hardened. The moment that usefulness fades, I will personally see them executed. And I will drag that little brat back here. He straightened. The royal Dravanith bloodline is extinguished. The dragons are ash. The royal Dravarinth bloodline is extinguished. The dragons are ash. No one from Enos should be allowed to walk free. Violin's cold stare softened into the faintest smile. At least Father showed mercy once. Even if it came late. He swayed as he moved toward the plate on the floor, nearly collapsing beside it. Enos did nothing to deserve annihilation. A handful of treacherous dragons does not justify the suffering of an entire nation. Aaron frowned faintly. You disgust me. You've grown desensitized to degradation. Violin scooped a fistful of slop into his mouth. What do I have left? He muttered. Jinx is dead. You slaughtered my men. You razed my home. And his jaw tightened. I can only imagine what you've done to Myra. Aaron crouched, pressing his forehead lightly against the bars. We never found Myra, he said calmly. She either died in the bombardment, or escaped. Hard to say. He paused deliberately. As for your little lover, we never recovered her body. The men I planted among your crew delivered the killing blow. They said most of her abdomen was gone before she fell. Without Kitsune healing, no one survives that. He let the silence stretch. And as for your remaining men, those aboard the Tiamat who could be salvaged were resurrected. Violin froze. I had a change of heart, Aaron continued smoothly. If there was nothing left to bargain with, you'd never cooperate. Violin stopped eating entirely. Some of them were alive. He hadn't let them all die. Aaron rose to his full height. How long has it been? A week? 2? While you've been rotting down here, parts of your crew have remained breathing. Violin's voice sharpened. Why are you here, Aaron? Aaron extended his hand casually. Aquarupta. A blast of scalding water exploded from his palm, hurling Violin across the cell and into the stone wall. Aquarupta. Another surge of hot steam filled the chamber, washing away much of the filth and debris. When the steam thinned, Aaron tossed a satchel of clean clothes onto the cot. Dress yourself.
I think I butchered it enough, so we'll hear it. We'll save it.
Violin stopped eating entirely. Aaron rose to his full height. How long has it been? A week? 2? While you've been rotting down here, parts of your crew have remained breathing. Violin's voice sharpened. Why are you here, Aaron? Aaron extended his hand casually, muttering an incantation. Aquarupta. A blast of...
I remember one time ChatGPT told me voices don't sharpen, tones sharpen.
Violin's tone sharpened.
Yeah, like a steel blade. Oh, I gotta put some eye drops in. My fucking eye is doing a weird thing. It's misbehaving. Oh man, that stuff is real. That stuff is real. Oh man, those eye drops, they fucking, every time I put it in, it feels like someone's just fucking poking me right in the eye, but it's like a good poke. I don't know how to describe it. Whew. Man, that's like a whole experience. They're the blue Roto eye drops. Like, I used to not get them because they were a little bit more expensive. I used to get the red kind back in like high school and shit, but the blue ones are like the 8 symptom relief ones, and my friend used to get them, and I don't remember them being this fucked up, because like they used to make regular eye drops feel like you're just putting water in your eye. You're like, oh, hopefully it's doing something, but I could feel this is doing something. I don't know if what it's doing is good or bad, but it's definitely doing something. Wow, my eye is like watering. I can like taste it in my throat. Whew. All right, now shall we?
I had a change of heart, Aaron continued smoothly. If there was nothing left to bargain with, you'd never cooperate. Violin stopped eating entirely. Aaron rose to his full height. How long has it been? A week? 2? While you've been rotting down here, parts of your crew have remained breathing. Violin's tone sharpened. Why are you here, Aaron? Aaron extended his hand casually, muttering an incantation. Aquarupta. A blast of scalding water exploded from his palm, hurling Violin across the cell and into the stone wall. Again, Aquarupta. Another surge of hot water filled the chamber, washing away much of the filth and debris. When the steam thinned, Aaron tossed a satchel of clean clothes onto the cot. Dress yourself. We're having a conversation upstairs. High above them lay the royal dining hall. Blue and gold banners draped the towering walls. Crystal chandeliers cast fractured light across long, polished tables stretching the length of the chamber. All sat empty save for one at the center. At its head sat a tall man with shaggy white curls spilling past his shoulders. He was flanked by royal advisors. Before them rested porcelain plates arranged with untouched breakfast delicacies. One advisor leaned forward, voice tight with anger. Your Highness, may I remind you that forbidden magic was used to drag a celestial body from its orbit? Tampering with the heavens is not merely unlawful, it invites catastrophe. He did not pause. And the unlicensed summoning of Moltere. Shall I continue? Another advisor leaned forward sharply. Not only that, but Karthsworth, Darkwell, and likely other cities have been wiped from the map by necromantic insurgents. Do we truly have time to entertain your son's tantrums? They may not have been elite forces, but many good men died at his command. And now we face whispers of rebellion. The Emperor slowly scanned the length of the table before responding. There is no need for hysteria, he said evenly. We are merely speaking with the boy. His gaze hardened slightly. I have not forgotten the necromancy festering south of the Ember's Pyre Peaks. The loyalists who fell at Mistwood have been recovered and raised wherever possible. We are in contact with private contractors and have opened discussions with neighboring allies to suppress the insurgency. His voice dropped, almost pleasantly. Now shut your fucking mouths and eat your pancakes. They're getting cold. Footsteps echoed through the hall as Aaron, Violin, and a contingent of guards entered from a rear corridor. They marched Violin to an empty seat at the central table and shoved him into it. His chair scraped loudly as they forced it closer and removed his shackles. One of the advisors shot to his feet. By the gods, you're unchanged aining him. That's the only thing preventing him from casting. Aaron didn't look at him. For the love of sanity, be quiet. He knows if he attempts anything, it will be his last act. He nudged Violin's chair forward with his boot. Frankly, if he did try something, I'd let him kill you first. The advisor sank back into his seat, muttering, I don't understand how you two turned out this way when your other siblings are so well-mannered. Aaron remained standing behind Violin's chair. The Emperor folded his hands. Well, now that you've had time to cool your temper, have you reconsidered our previous discussion? He smiled thinly. I will even sweeten the arrangement. Your little commander can be resurrected. You may resume your domestic ambitions. Violin stared at the untouched plate before him. There might not be enough left of her to resurrect. The Emperor laughed softly. You underestimate the Kitsune. I've seen them retrieve souls from the depths of Infernalis when no corpse remained. Say the word, and Mistwood will be rebuilt. Your bride will be brought across the sea. This unpleasantness can vanish. Violin began eating with his hands, ignoring decorum. And the citizens? He asked flatly. Rebuilding stone doesn't restore what they lost. The Emperor took a measured drink from his goblet. Most citizens fled to Ceos before the bombardment. With our arcane engineers, we can not only rebuild Mistwood, we can modernize it. Provide generous stipends. People forget suffering when prosperity follows. He leaned forward slightly. I doubt Enos would have offered you such generosity after your insubordination. Violin swallowed another mouthful. And Myra? The Emperor nudged food aside with his fork. Her whereabouts remain unknown. But once word spreads, she will return if she lives. And you may do as you wish. His tone sharpened. What matters is the treaty with our ally. I care little whom you bed, so long as there are no further disruptions. War rages across the Eastern Sea. If we lose additional allies, we will be forced to commit troops to defend our northern territories. Violin reached for another plate. So this entire empire's stability rests on how I choose to use my cock. The Emperor's patience thinned. Vulgar phrasing aside, yes. He continued evenly. The miasma surrounding Enos has neither expanded nor receded, yet it continues birthing monstrosities. We cannot afford to send a third of our forces abroad while unrest brews at home and war looms overseas. Aaron leaned close to Violin's ear. The princess is breathtaking, he murmured. You will forget Myra. You will forget Jinx. I would marry her myself if I weren't already occupied with a wife and 3 mistresses. He straightened. Mistwood can stand renewed by year's end. Violin seized the goblet from the advisor beside him and drained it. Wine streamed down his jaw and onto the polished table. He lowered it slowly. Why me? He asked, voice raw. Why must I play this game? Why not behead me and be done with it? The Emperor set his fork down and exhaled slowly. Because you are my son. My blood, he said. And I know that somewhere within you, you understand what the Empire requires to survive. You will come to your senses. Violin's jaw tightened as he wrestled with his thoughts. If I agree, he asked carefully, you'll bring Jinx back. A faint smile crept across the Emperor's face. I don't understand your attachment to her, he admitted, but yes. We will resurrect her. And if there is no body to recover, we will request a miracle from the Kitsune. Violin sat in silence for a long moment, finishing the last bite on his plate. He wiped his mouth and chin with a napkin, slow and deliberate. How would Jinx put this? He muttered. He looked up at his father. You can shove that proposal up your arse and lick my tits. Even if you brought her back, she'd never forgive me for accepting your deal after everything you've done. She'd cut my head off herself. The Emperor closed his eyes and released a heavy breath. I am growing tired of this. With a flick of his wrist, he signaled the guards. Return him to his cell. Have his rations. Induce mono-leak. Aaron and the nearby guards seized Violin. He smirked faintly at his father as they dragged him toward the rear corridor. When the doors shut behind them, one of the advisors cleared his throat. Your Highness, if I may. The Emperor pressed 2 fingers against the bridge of his nose and nodded. I fail to understand why you allow him to defy you so openly, the advisor continued. The college houses illusionists and actors of considerable talent. We could replace him. A stand-in. This entire situation could be resolved quietly. The Emperor's voice lowered. Our allies expect their daughter to bear their king a son, and it must be of my blood. It must be genuine. An impostor would not suffice. The advisor leaned forward, almost pleading. There are other methods to achieve that end. Enough, the Emperor snapped. It is not even midsol, and I am already weary. He rose from his seat. I am not to be disturbed until the Queen returns or unless word arrives from the Blood Dragon. He paused at the edge of the hall. Dispatch a recovery team to locate Jinx's body. If Violin reconsiders, I want that option available. And breathe not a word of this to anyone. His eyes swept the table. Or I will have you fed to the Ichneumon. Without another glance, the Emperor turned and strode from the hall, 2 elite guards falling into step behind him.
Alright, I have everything set up for the next chapter. Boo doo 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 man. still thinking about those eye drops, man. They fucking almost like a drug.
Chapter 18. More than just music. Vert D/Nizera/16th/Y997/6th age, Midsol. J. YNX opened her eyes to find herself somewhere deeply unfamiliar and entirely unexpected for someone who believed she was dead. Or at least, she had believed she was. The room resembled a grand treehouse nestled high within the canopy of a vast cluster of trees. The walls were crafted from elegantly carved wood, yet natural branches from the living trees curved seamlessly through the structure, as if the dwelling had grown rather than been built. The ceiling bore intricate carvings and several skylights that let in soft light. Near the center, however, yawned a wide, crudely boarded hole far less refined than the rest of the architecture. She realized she was dressed in oversized clothing clearly not tailored for a human. But what unsettled her more was the figure seated across the room. A lizard man. Dark blue scales shimmered faintly beneath a weathered brown tunic. He sat on a simple stool, holding the most exquisitely crafted lute she had ever seen. Jinx sat upright in the bed, staring blankly as he gently set the instrument against the wall. "This isn't what I expected Infernalis to look like," she muttered, rubbing sleep from her eyes. The lizard man adjusted the collar of his tunic and spoke in a surprisingly refined accent, one that suggested long exposure to noble company. Well, look who has finally chosen to awaken." His golden eyes flicked toward her. "And I must protest the comparison. My home is far superior to the fiery depths of Infernalis." Still scanning the room, Jinx asked flatly, "Where am I? And what is a lizard man doing living in a tree?" He rose slightly from his stool, posture dignified. "My name is Draker Amir et Luzerkai Kel Nami Vorkarith Elmonta Selvathias Po and Dwerslut II, he declared proudly. "And this is my home, just outside of Mistwood Bay. Or what remains of Mistwood, that is. Roughly a week ago, during the unfortunate carnage, you crashed through my roof and destroyed my favorite lyre." Jinx blinked. "Well, pardon fucking me," she said dryly, swinging her legs over the side of the bed. "And what the fuck is that name? It's aggressively cunty. I'm calling you Lou. Since it's the only part I remembered." Lou threw his head back and cackled. "Oh, I suspected you would be entertaining once you woke." Looking down at the oversized garments she wore, Jinx could feel the heat creeping into her cheeks. "Did you see me fucking naked?" Lou stood and obtained a pile of neatly folded clothes next to him that resided on a small end table before tossing them onto Jinx's lap. "Of course," he replied matter-of-factly. "I treated your wounds and tucked you into bed. But be at ease, my heart belongs to another. I would never dishonor my beloved." Jinx's blush deepened. "My wounds were fatal," she said slowly. "They weren't the sort that heal in a week. Without the help of a Kitsune healer, not even the ship's best restorative arcanists could have saved me." Her voice faltered slightly. "That's why I..." Lou moved toward the door, offering her privacy. I washed and stitched your clothes if you prefer them. He offered. There's wood burning beneath the water reservoir if you'd like a proper shower. He gestured toward a doorway in the corner. Drying cloths are inside. After a week asleep, I imagine you'd appreciate feeling clean. He paused at the threshold. And it was not magic that healed you, he added lightly. It was my music. He stepped out and closed the door behind him. Jinx sat in silence, staring ahead. Then she suddenly pushed herself to her feet and nearly collapsed. Her body felt heavy, distant, like it belonged to someone else. The short walk to the door felt as exhausting as a full day overseeing her crew. The door itself was carved from polished dragonwood, detailed and smooth beneath her fingertips. The brass knob was round and cool foreign to her grip. Doors in Mistwood Bay and aboard the naval and airships used thumb latches and lever handles. When she grasped the knob, she hesitated, fumbling briefly before managing to turn it the proper direction. The door swung open fully and rested against its stop. Jinx paused, pleasantly surprised. This was nothing like the crude washrooms she had known. Half the chamber appeared carved directly from a massive slab of stone, forming a small pond-like basin. Tubes ran along the walls, cleverly disguised among woven tree branches, nearly indistinguishable from the natural structure. To the left of a short staircase descending into the pond sat a standing fixture resembling a shower. Beside it, mounted into the wall, was a system of pulleys and levers. She studied them briefly. One of these must control the water. She chose a lever at random and pulled. Fresh water cascaded from a stone spout shaped like a miniature waterfall, spilling into the basin below. Curious, she tugged a pulley cord. The waterfall ceased. A heartbeat later, the ceiling opened in scattered streams, and the entire room began to rain hot water down upon her as though she were caught in a summer storm. The heat struck her instantly intense, but not unpleasant. Rejuvenating. She closed her eyes and let it pour over her like a typhoon. Within moments, steam filled the chamber, thick and swirling. The air grew heavy, each breath damp and warm, like inhaling beneath a blanket. The water bordered on scalding, yet she didn't move. Then the memory flooded her mind. The eternal burning. The scathing darkness. The suffocating silence of being trapped inside her own fading mind. Her chest tightened violently. She folded inward, clutching her abdomen with both arms as if protecting a wound that was no longer there, and fell to her knees beneath the relentless downpour. She began to weep. The water was so hot her tears felt cold against her skin. The deepest pain wasn't in her flesh. It was knowing someone had betrayed her. Someone from her own crew. And not knowing what had become of Violin. She remained beneath the torrent so long she forgot she was still wearing Lou's oversized clothes. They clung to her, heavy and saturated. Slowly, she peeled the shirt over her head and let it fall. The trousers followed, dropping atop the soaked fabric at her feet. Steam swallowed her shape. Blindly, she traced her hand along the wall until she found a dry alcove beyond the direct spray. Small jars and vials rested in carved recesses. She uncapped them one by one, inhaling cautiously. Each carried a different scent: floral, citrus, resinous, yet all smelled faintly edible, as though crafted from something living rather than distilled. She scooped small amounts from several and spread the gels across her skin. They lathered quickly, rich and thick, coating her in fragrant foam. It felt indulgent. Improper, almost. She couldn't remember the last true bath she'd taken. Her recent memories of washing involved diving overboard into cold ocean water between skybound voyages, emerging smelling of salt, fish, and seaweed. Even when Violin commanded the Tiamat, hot water meant little more than a wooden barrel heated over flame. This was different. Even through the steam, she felt herself wrapped in a cloak of foam before stepping back into the falling water. The heat struck her like a furnace. It burned the soap away, stinging but cleansing, and she stood beneath it without flinching. Her wet hair clung to her neck and spine, hot against her skin. The only comparison she could conjure were the hot springs along the Embers Pyre Mountains, the ones her father used to describe from his adventures before she ever set foot on a ship. Even then, those had been stories. This was real. And she was still alive. Feeling she had lingered long enough, Jinx waddled back to the wall of levers and reversed the order she'd pulled them. The hot rain above gradually tapered off after the first adjustment, while the waterfall spout resumed its steady pour. With the second, the faucet cut off entirely, leaving only the occasional drip and a thick curtain of steam. For something that relied neither on mana nor some overly elaborate steampunk contraption, she was deeply impressed enough to feel vaguely unworthy of standing in it. She nudged her soaked clothes toward the door with her foot, and as the steam began to thin, her reflection emerged in a large mirror across the room. She froze. Her body stood revealed in the fading mist, a living map of scars. Some thin and pale. Others jagged and raised. Each one a story. It had been a long time since she'd truly seen herself. The mirrors aboard the Tiamat were cracked, fogged, or shattered entirely. This clarity felt almost invasive. Her gaze settled on the large scar across her abdomen, the exit wounds from the bullets fired by men she had once trusted. She turned slowly, noticing the scars left from the entry wounds on her lower back. Unlike Violin, who had entrusted her with running the ship, she had known every name aboard the Tiamat. Many had served since her father's command. Even the newest hands had been with them for years. She traced the scars gently with her fingertips. "Those motherfuckers," she muttered. "All the other scars weren't so bad. But now? I couldn't even be a prostitute if I wanted to." Leaning away from the mirror, she indecently bent over and glanced over her shoulder back at it while gripping her hand on one of her ass cheeks and gently pulled it to the side, exposing herself. "Well, at least the goods are still untouched," she groaned with a heavy sigh. Movement flickered in the reflection. Something small leapt onto the windowsill across the room. She whipped around. A brown and white sugar glider perched there, tiny paws gripping the wood. Her voice shattered the She whipped around, and to her surprise, a brown and white sugar glider was perched there, its tiny paws gripping the wood. Movement flickered in the reflection behind her. Something small leapt onto the windowsill across the room. She whipped around, and to her surprise, a brown and white sugar glider was perched there, its tiny paws gripping the wood. Her voice shattered the quiet with a loud squeal. "Snoogie, you're alive!" She lunged forward, scooping the creature up and pressing her face against its fur. The animal squeaked indignantly, wriggling free and scrambling around her in frantic circles before climbing into the tangled mess of her damp hair and burrowing in. The door creaked open. "Is everything all right?" Lou called, stepping halfway inside with a bowl containing a liquid that someone could only describe as ambiguous. Locking eyes, there was a long, silent moment of awkwardness. Lou calmly stepped backward and shut the door. Jinx stood frozen, the sugar glider's head poking from her hair. "The first one's free," she shouted toward the door. "You'll have to pay for the next look." From the other side, Lou replied evenly, "I came to investigate the commotion. I had assumed you would be dressed by now. My apologies." Still flustered, she shot back, "I was evaluating the craftsmanship behind the new features those traders gifted me." She hastily slipped into the repaired clothes Lou had left for her, then yanked the door open. "It's not like you haven't already seen me naked," she added dismissively. Snatching the bowl from his claws, she took a bold gulp as she stepped back into the main room. Repulsed by its sudden sour and grotesque taste, she spat it past the bowl and onto the floor. "By the gods, that's vile," she gasped. "It tastes like how an arsehole smells." Somewhat amused, Lou tilted his head. "I'm not entirely sure what compelled you to drink it," he said. "There wasn't even a spoon to suggest it was edible." He placed the bowl on a small end table beside the bed. "It's a scar-reducing ointment. I've been applying it, the craftsmanship as you called it, while you slept. If you prefer to consume it, however, I He took the bowl from her and placed it on a small end table beside the bed. "It's a scar-reducing ointment. I've been applying it to the craftsmanship as you called it, while you slept. If you prefer to consume it, however, I won't object nor stop you. It's brewed from all natural ingredients found here in Mistwood Forest. Shouldn't cause any harm beyond an unpleasant taste." Jinx gagged as she wiped her tongue dramatically against the frill of her sleeve. "I thought it was some kind of stew you brought me," she managed between retches. "I was hankerin' for a hunk of something, but that ain't it." "Stew does sound delightful," Lou replied thoughtfully. "And as it happens, I was intimately preparing something special before the commotion drew me here." The sugar glider popped from Jinx's hat, leapt onto Lou's shoulder, then launched itself down the hallway in a smooth glide. Lou watched it go. It seems the little one has already caught the scent.
I'm gonna have to go. I'm not feeling good. We'll start over when I return. So thank you for watching, and always until next time. Bye.